opposition leader warns the government again on budget priorities. Land earmarked to build new cancer facility given away. And a tour inside the refurbished Sir John Guise Stadium.
This is National EMTV News with Tokana Hasavi.
Good evening and welcome to Friday's news. Thanks for your company. Opposition leader Don Polya says the current downward trend of the country's economy and a reduction in government revenue this year is not new. Polya said the opposition had warned the government to review its budget priorities. He made these comments after Treasurer Patrick Pruitt cautioned the government on the effects of the drop in oil prices on the country's economy.
The opposition leaders said the drop in government revenue is not news to the opposition. Mr. Polya said the opposition had warned the O'Neill Dion government that this was forthcoming. He said the downfall estimated by the government will definitely increase to billions. Polya wants the government to use the 700 million revenue for the first 65 shipments of LNG gas to cushion this threat.
That is the money that must be used immediately to cushion this downturn in revenue. The first thing the government must do, cushion that, because it's no point in doing a budget and you don't deliver the services. Now you look at education, the children can't go to school. It is because there's no cash flow.
Mr. Polya made his statements after Treasury Minister Patrick Pruitt earlier this week cautioned the government on the possible effects of a reduction in government revenue levels in the months ahead.
Fiscal consolidation of expenditure is as to prioritizing those very needy areas of expenditure like education, like health services, and cut down on unnecessary expenditure and visits by the government.
Late last month, Bank of PNG Governor Loy Bakani also stated that PNG's economy will be affected in the second half of 2015.
It's not a crisis situation. It's manageable. If the market, the government has to adjust its budget, so you cannot continue to live beyond the means when the revenue is much lower.
The opposition wants the government to cut down its expenditures and prioritize service areas to give comfort to the country's economy. Jack Lapava Jr., National EMTV News.
Rent payers in Lae City have reacted strongly to statements that the government won't regulate the real estate industry as a means to bring down rental prices. The responses come after Housing Minister Paul Ezekiel said the government has no intention to regulate real estate market prices, but will instead build more rental accommodation and influence a drop over the long term. MTV's Bethany Harriman reports.
Housing Minister Paul Ezekiel will be seeking cabinet approval to bring in investors to build more houses and influence a drop in house rental prices. What this means for the majority of Papua New Guineans living and working in expensive towns and cities is that it will take several years for rental prices to come down. Ezekiel's intention is aimed at diluting market prices, increasing supply and reducing demand. Lae residents we've spoken to feel that directly controlling prices would be good for the vast majority of Papua New Guineans.
The market is open and they're in competition with the big players. What are their chances? Nothing. Therefore, I strongly believe that the government should now regulate that industry.
We don't want to regulate that. We want the real estate to continue with what they're doing. However, as the government agency, I see it as our responsibility to go out and build houses.
The space between owning a home has also widened. Minister Ezekiel said a partnership program with the Bank of South Pacific would create wealth for people who get loans to buy homes and pay it back over time with interest.
His salary bracket is this much. So when we bridge that gap with the bank must be happy to fund it because it's within the range where they can fund it.
The government-funded program is meant to enable ordinary Papua New Guineans to become homeowners through the bank loan. The housing minister's comments comes as houses are on rental for an average of 2,000 kina per week in Port Moresby and 3,000 kina per month in Lae, which are unaffordable for the vast majority of Papua New Guineans.
In Lae and Port Moresby, many are moving further away from the city's boundaries, looking for cheaper accommodation. But those places providing cheaper accommodation to Papua New Guinea's elites are often those on the fringes of settlements that are known for their high crime rates. Bethany Harriman, National MTV News, Lae.
The owner of an overloaded ferry that sank off the coast of Morobe province in 2012, killing at least 171 people, has been committed to stand trial at the National Court. Peter Sharp, the managing director of Rabaul Shipping, and 4 others appeared at the Kokopo Committal Courtroom yesterday afternoon. The group has been charged with 171 counts of manslaughter and taking an unseaworthy vessel out at sea.
It was one of the worst maritime disasters in PNG's history. 171 confirmed deaths, many of whom were school and university students. The doomed vessel, the Rabaul Queen, was carrying about 350 passengers bound for Lae when it capsized and sank in heavy seas soon after 5 a.m. on February 2, 2012, 17 kilometers off Finchafen in Morobe province. A commission of inquiry established after the sinking of the ship found the vessel was not seaworthy, was unsafe, and should never have departed on its final voyage. Now, more than 3 years after the sinking, the ferry's operators and port staff will be brought before the National Court to face a string of charges relating to the disaster. Peter Sharp, the managing director of Rabaul Shipping, the ship's captain Anthony Siao, chief mate Michael Zirao, former PNG Ports Kimbe branch manager Grace Amen, and National Maritime Safety Authority Rabaul manager Joseph Titua Kabui, faced the magistrate at Kokopo's committal courtroom yesterday. The hearing found that the evidence was sufficient to bring the case to the National Court. However, charges against Titua Kabui were dropped. The remaining 4 will face trial at a later date. Bridget Komatep, National MTV News.
Another controversy is developing in Lae City after a committee gave away the land earmarked for the establishment of a national cancer treatment centre to another arm of government. Until last week, the Angao Hospital Board and management were confident they would be given the certificate of occupancy on at least 3 portions of land for Angao's much-needed expansion. Now they've just been told that won't happen because the police and justice sector have been given priority over the hospital. This now means the implementation of a 1 billion kina Australian government-funded expansion will be put off indefinitely. Our Lae Bureau Chief, NTV Scott Weiner, has been following the matter, and he brings you tonight's special report.
Lae's Angao Hospital has been the focus of much controversy since 2012, when media attention on the plight of the hospital brought to light the difficulties the board and management were facing to get funding approval to build a new Angao.
Are they genuine about health for our people?
We had a situation where the board of Angao Hospital wanted to build a 600 million kina hospital. We cannot afford that.
The hospital suffered from years of government neglect. The buildings crumbled under an onslaught of termite attacks on the old timber frames. Then some relief came. The Manus Asylum Centre deal, despised by many, paved way for new funding from the Australian and PNG governments. About 1 billion kina was committed for the project. These are the designs that were drawn up for the new hospital, and it includes the construction of a new National Cancer Treatment Institute.
As you know, there's one cancer treatment center for all of PNG. It's right in the middle of Angao Hospital right now. That site, where it's at now, would need to be cleared for the new hospital. So we figured the first cab off the rank, so to speak, is a new cancer treatment center across the road.
This is the old Lae Airport, the prime land where the new cancer treatment center was going to be built. Until last week, things were looking good. Then a lands committee decided to give these portions of land to the law and justice sector.
Have they given any reason why they've taken the land away from Angao?
No particular reason. It was just announced in the meeting that the committee, the nameless committee, has decided that they would take it away and shift it into a couple of different blocks and allocate to the police and justice departments.
Yeah. This now means the 1 billion kina worth of aid money won't be put to use, and the construction of the much-needed cancer facility will be put on hold indefinitely.
Don't get me wrong, the law and order sector in Leh needs addressing. We're all supportive of that, but can it be done somewhere else apart from right across the street from Angao, where it's been nominated for future hospital expansion?
Land has become an increasingly rare commodity. The debates over ownership have even brought the Morobe governor onto the scene. Last year, Kelly Naru personally supervised the removal of fencing from portions of land at the old Leh airport.
And what we are seeing now is the start of an exercise to reclaim all these blocks and parcels and pieces of land that have been taken over illegally through improper means.
The provincial administration has also taken a few business owners to court over land grabbing, and the administration has in turn been sued over land ownership.
It's a complex mix of intentions, titles, ownerships, and of course emotions. But the general sentiment for the Angao Hospital land is that Papua New Guinea and Leh City need a new cancer facility. And the most logical place to put it is right across the road next to the hospital. Scott Whitey, National MTV News, Leh.
Still to come ahead in National MTV News, awareness campaign on human rights. Also, more on the tuition fee-free saga. And later in the bulletin, the All Search Baton Relay team arrives in Madang. Stay with us for that and more. Good to have you back with National MTV News. The Project Management Unit of the PNG Human Rights Commission today announced their awareness campaign for 2015. The newly established office set up to protect and promote the rights of PNG citizens will start its awareness next week in Port Moresby. The campaign will educate people on basic human rights abuses.
Addressing human rights abuse in PNG will be a challenge for the PNG Human Rights Commission. Proper awareness and education is needed to make ordinary Papua New Guineans more aware of their basic human rights. The awareness campaign will start next week in the nation's capital. The project's management unit will be hard at work in all electorates in the city, and they want all city residents to show interest in this campaign. Awareness Advocacy Coordinator Jeffrey Maruse says the awareness campaign is to make Papua New Guineans aware of the functions of the new Human Rights Commission.
To go out to the public and make known their rights, or just make them aware that they have rights that are either subjected to violence or any abuse. We'd like to make that known to the public that there is going to be an office established to take on any form of abuse of rights, human rights in Papua New Guinea. So
the campaign will launch first in NCD's Northwest electorate before moving to other parts of the city.
And I imagine you all to cooperate with my team that will be coming out to Moresby Northwest, Moresby South and Moresby Northeast. We have also created a web page for the office, which is www.pnghrc.org, which is currently being formulated to bring information that will be used to inform the people and also the world that PNG has already set up the office and we are already established and building the mechanism of the office.
Mr. Tavatuna says all MPs in NCD must be active in the awareness campaign as it will have an impact on the lives of citizens who are victims of human rights abuse. The campaign will roll out to major towns in the country once the Commission's bill is passed in the May Parliament sitting. Stanley Ove Jr., National MTV News.
As primary schools in Morobe gear up for the Term 1 break, they are already planning ahead on how to run the school come Term 2. Principal of Taraka Primary School, Thomas Keku, says they will have to find other alternatives to run the school if the second portion of the TFF fund doesn't come on time. This comes after a warning issued by Morobe Provincial Education Board yesterday of a temporary closure of schools following the delay of the funds.
The delay in the release of the tuition fee-free funds is now affecting primary schools in the Morobe province. At the Taraka Primary School on the outskirts of Lae City, the head teacher, Thomas Keku, is working on a strategic plan to overcome the possibility of closing the school. He says they are looking for alternative funding sources to support their operation for the duration of the year, and much of the support is expected to come from parents.
I will not suspend children, I tell you. I will get my parents to support me to get the children going. Parents know the way. If the government cannot do it, parents, the stakeholders know the way to get children going.
Currently, the school has 27,000 kina sitting in its bank account, and already the school has predicted a shortfall in funding its operations.
We are going back to our parents now. If worst comes to worst, we're going to go back to our parents. So we have talked to the parents already. They've agreed that they will come in with 20 kina across the board. So we are not saying that we are imposing the fees. We are saying this is one way that parents feel responsible of their kids' education.
The Provincial Education Program Advisor, Kit Jeram, yesterday sounded a warning to the government that Lae schools might face possible closure if the funds aren't given.
If that 30% is not forthcoming, then I already predict most of the schools in Morobe may close.
Almost all schools in Morobe are going through the same experience. The free education policy may seem as a relief to many parents who have been struggling with their children's school fees. But in 2013, when the national government introduced the free education policy, it also introduced new challenges for schools.
Because of the influx, and if you look at the school itself, we don't have the classroom.
3 to 4 big children to one desk, which caters only for 2 in previous years.
The funds allocated can't cater to the steady increase in the number of students who enroll into schools every year, and the demand for school infrastructure to complement the free education policy is a disappointment for schools administration. Edwin Fidelis, National EMTV News, Lae.
Education Minister Nick Kuman yesterday cleared the air on facts regarding the implementation of the tuition fee-free policy. He says the government pays every student an allocation based on the fee limits set by the National Education Board. He is urging all levels of school systems in the country to manage and use the TFF funds correctly.
Minister Kuman, in a press conference yesterday, stressed that the tuition fee-free policy is a government policy and the government is fully committed to fund its implementation. He said since 2012, TFF funding has totaled nearly 2 billion kina.
The Department of Education is obliged to ensure that all eligible schools receive their full money in terms of school fees, full, and I mean 100%. That's the only way for us to give accessibility to our kids in this country.
He also said that there are concerns on the management and utilization of TFF funds at the school level, where a number of steps have already been taken to address the problems. The minister explained that TFF is paid to all approved operating schools in the national education system, including permitted schools, FODE and inclusive education institutions, except technical colleges and teachers' colleges.
School is paid TFF, and they are paid in 2 parts. The first 50% is paid to cater for term 1 and term 2. The second part is paid in the in the beginning of term 3, which takes us right to the end of the year.
He gave assurance that the government is committed and will ensure that all schools receive their 2015 TFF funding. He also reminded school boards and administrations to manage the TFF funds wisely to ensure that quality education is given to all children. Julie Badui Owa, National EMTV News.
Opposition leader Don Pollier says the government's prompt response to investigate the TFF funds must happen soon. Prime Minister Peter O'Neill spoke at the UPNG graduation yesterday, said the government will not tolerate mismanagement of funds. The opposition leader is disappointed that schools have threatened to suspend classes for an indefinite period of time. He wants the government to proactively address this concern before parents and stakeholders react.
And we are disappointed when we see the education sector being affected not even into the whole of the year. It's just a study, and you've got educational financial situation problems here. They must take note of what's happening. This is not a life situation. If education as policy number one is being affected, they must take it seriously.
Colgate-Palmolive today launched its Bright Smile, Bright Future event. Children as young as 3 came for 3 oral checkups. It will be an annual event that seeks to promote oral health, mostly amongst children. The Colgate-Palmolive, the distributors of Colgate, have realized the importance of absence of educating PNG's young on oral health. This is one of the few times that the Colgate-Palmolive have come out public to educate the public on oral health. The event is viewed as an opportunity for many Papua New Guineans who don't have access to dental care as they are too expensive or unavailable. And now we take a look at the finance news. The kina closed unchanged at $0.3725 in the interbank market. At Bank South Pacific, your kina was fetching $0.365, $0.471 Australian dollars, $0.3380 euro, and 43.56 Japanese yen. Looking at commodity prices at New York close, gold, coffee closed higher, while cocoa and copper closed the day lower. Crude oil closed higher, while copper and palm oil closed the day lower. And finally, on the stock market, the Dow Jones closed at 56 points higher, the ASX closed at 35 points higher, and the All Ordinaries closed at 33 points higher. National EMTV News continues after the break. We'll begin the next segment with the baton relay. Stay tuned for that. Welcome back to the news. The Oil Search baton relay arrived in Madang this morning. It was received by the Deputy Governor and members of the Provincial Assembly. Residents of Madang were out in force to watch the relay as they lined the streets to see the convoy pass through the town as it continued its journey. MTV's Lorraine Genia has this report.
The Oil Search Relay Baton team flew into beautiful Madang with its numerous tropical islands and white sandy beaches. On landing, the baton was passed to Air Niugini officials, who in turn handed it over to staff who formed a circle around the plane. On the tarmac, the Deputy Governor Rama Marasan accepted the baton on behalf of the people, where it would stay for the next few days. A traditional Sing Sing group greeted the team at the airport. The police then took the baton and began the relay at a good walking pace. It soon increased as the runners were accompanied by cyclists in provincial flags. The Tuspab High School athletics team took up the charge next, and the group ran continuously through the streets of Madang, passing the baton amongst themselves and taking it to the people as well. They delivered the baton to the Provincial Assembly members and, in keeping the spirit of the baton, passed it on to their staff. The Handicap Association runners then led the baton out of the provincial headquarters and through the streets. The Tuspab athletes quickly took up the honours with the baton, even hitched a lift at one time and crossed the Gum Bridge into the 4 Mile Market. There a crowd gathered and a Sing Sing group performed. Tura the mascot made an appearance, keeping all the kids entertained. The baton then travels to Bilbil village, a place known for its traditional clay pots. The team were given an opportunity to view the various stages of making the pots, right down to the use of the fiery oven. The baton then continues through the village and onto the spirit of Balangut, the traditional vessel of these areas. The relay baton's journey continues.
Kainantu District in Eastern Highlands Province today cleared its DSIP acquittals for 2014. Receiving 10 million kina last year, over 70% of the district's DSIP was put to rebuild the district's infrastructure. Mr. Johnson Tuke says for the first time, the people in Kainantu are now seeing services from the government.
The presentation of the 2014 DSIP acquittals for Kainantu revealed the district's latest developments. From the 10 million kina given last year, over 70% of the funds were used to rebuild major roads in the district. The remaining 30% was allocated to key areas in health and education.
Administration belum believe also. Lorot, antap lorot bami belum making plan something. Rot by me working housing, rot by me working education. Lorot, bami belum minimizing law and order. Lorot bami belum working agriculture.
Mr. Tuke says impact projects like rural electrification and the rebuilding of the Kainantu Hospital, which will commence soon, are indicators of the positive outcomes of the DSIP.
Now that's all me plakisim 1 million lo first DSIP. mi bla kisim. But the government too, mi put him pinisambla money on site lo national planning. So mi put him pinisambla paper on site lo national planning. So time mi display money kamara site. I think mi plus start working quick time now because house gave me bagarap. House will working pinis yet lo before lo time lo white man.
While Kainantu is one district that has received its 2014 DSIP in full, other districts are yet to receive theirs. The delay in releasing funds is putting a hold on development projects in some districts. The delay was explained by Acting Secretary Paul Sai.
The delay in funds going down to the districts is very much based on the cash flow at Treasury. And when the funds are available, definitely it will go down through finance to the district and provincial treasuries. So the process itself is there, but it's just a matter of really the capacity on the front line.
Sai says a new district information management system is in place to help districts manage their funds effectively to better develop impact projects. Stanley Ove Jr., National EMTV News.
While Bulolo MP Sam Basil has called on the government to quickly release the District Support Improvement Program funds for his electorate, Basil said the delay is affecting the implementation of 2015 projects in Wau Bulolo. Currently, the state owes the district 18 million kina in DSIP funds.
There is no DSIP given to the open electorates.
From this 18 million, Basil said 3 million is outstanding from the 2014 DSIP funds and the 15 million is for 2015. He said we are in the second quarter of the year now and his district is falling behind its implementation schedule.
We got 6 months of delivery. It takes almost a month to gather documents, call JDP meetings and push the documents to the district administration and the provincial district treasury, and if it needs to go for provincial tenders board, it takes another almost 2 months. So we do not have much time to deliver projects in 2015. By the way, things are going.
The government has budgeted a sum of 1,335 million kina as the 2015 DSIP funds for all 89 districts in the country. This is an increase of 445 million from the 890 million kina allocated for DSIP funds in 2014. While the increase in the financial package comes as a relief for many underdeveloped districts, Basil has raised concerns on the value of PNG kina and whether the state will release the full DSIP funds for all 89 districts.
Our kina hasn't been strengthened. Our kina continues to lose its value, and it has been pegged, we know, and the central bank governor is printing more money against future tax receipts. We want the treasurer to come out and make a statement.
Basil stressed that if the government is having liquidation issues, it should openly discuss it so adjustments can be made to save our economy.
You do not issue warnings. You come out and tell Papua New Guinea what problem we have, and you tell Papua New Guinea what are your solutions in the next 3 months, in the next 6 months, and in the next 12 months. If we need to go back to Parliament and cut the budget and make adjustment, we have to, because we will save Papua New Guinea.
Takla Gunga, National EMTV News.
Bulolo district will soon have a buai subsidy program to assist people from remote villages to transport buai into Wau Town and sell. Buai is the only cash crop in the remote villages of Tekadu, Anandia and Nukewa in the Wau Rural LLG. There's no road linking the area and this has made it difficult to earn an income.
Almost everywhere in Papua New Guinea, buai has been a mainstay for the local people, including the middle-income earners in urban centers. At Tekadu in the Wau Rural Local Level Government in Bulolo, the supply is very high, but it has been difficult to get the crop to towns and cities.
The first Birulna charter will go to Anandia villages, second to Koroma villages, and third to Tekadu villages. They will ship about 600 kilos worth of betel nut from Tekadu airstrip to Wau airstrip.
This is one place that the government's much talked about rural focus cannot be seen or felt.
there are no schools and no health services.
At the moment, they got nothing. They do not have schools, they do not have aid posts, and they do not have any government attention.
While buai is being banned in big cities like Port Moresby, it is big business in Momase and Highlands provinces. Today, much of the buai supply comes from Oro, Medang and Isipik provinces, but the supply from Tekadu is expected to bring in more revenue for the Bulolo people.
We would expect aggressive buyers from Ley and even Wau Bulolo people to congregate in Wau, waiting for those bill not to arrive, and money will be thrown around. People will come into Wau, and I want the little economy of Wau to also pick up. So that is to the best interest of my district to generate such activities.
The buai subsidy program, when in full operation, will boost the economy of the Bulolo district. More small businesses will be established in areas of transport and informal sector. Sylvester Gawi, National EMTV News, Ley.
A government-issued firearm was safely returned to the police department this morning after it went missing 12 years ago. The firearm, a 9mm Glock pistol belonging to a member of the National Intelligence Organization, was reported missing in 2003 but was never recovered until now.
Since 2003, attempts to recover the pistol were always unsuccessful, and it seemed the gun disappeared without a trace. In the years that followed, Neo was not able to retrace the handgun, giving it a missing pistol tag. Now, 12 years after, the weapon was finally returned to the state.
To the police department or to government agencies is very important. That is the way to go. We have to work side by side, as the pastor has mentioned. That is to make this place a better place for us to live.
In a small handover ceremony at the police headquarters in Port Moresby, the principal pastor of the Revival Centers of PNG, Godfrey Winpo, handed the pistol over to Deputy Police Commissioner Jim Andrews. Mr. Wipon, a police officer by merit, was directly involved in guarding the person who was in possession of the rifle then, Jim Yamanini. Wimpon said he met Yamanini in his sickbed during a pastoral visit and helped him in his spiritual journey. Weeks later, before his passing, Yamanini surrendered the missing gun to Wimpon and instructed him to return it to police.
We are going to do more. We believe that it is only God that is who will change the mindsets of our people in whatever ways. And this is the evidence, one of the evidence that, many people now realize that there is God and they will come to Him.
Wimpon said the actions taken by Yamanini sets an example for many others who are holding on to illegal or homemade firearms to also surrender them to police. Takligunga, National EMTV News.
True Guise Sports is coming up next, and we'll have news on rugby league, boxing, soccer and AFL. Stay tuned for that.
True Guise Sports.
Welcome to True Guise Sports. The Papua New Guinea Kumals have named a 29-man training squad to take on Fiji on the 2nd of May on the Gold Coast in Australia. David Mead, Nana McDonald and Ray Thompson are 3 NRL players included in the train-on squad.
The 29-member train-on squad was selected by the PNG RFL national selectors, Kumu coach Mal Meninga and assistant Michael Marum. The bulk of the players have been selected from the Intra Super Cup and the NRL. The other test match to be played on the same day will be between Tonga and Samoa. These trial matches are expected to decide the country that will qualify for the 2016 Four Nations to join automatic inclusion Australia, New Zealand and England. Players have been reminded that because they have been selected on the train-on squad, that does not mean they have made the final team. Should the Kumals win, they will host the winner of the Samoa and Tonga test match in Port Moresby on the 25th of October. The train-on squad will be trimmed down to the final 18 players on the 26th of April. Dion Kombeng, National, EMTV Sports.
The PNG boxing team has returned from Brisbane in Australia with loads of experience, not just at individual levels, but also as a team. The team is now in preparation for their next training camp in Tabubil. The fighters say they have learnt a lot in their one-month camp overseas, and they're itching to put to practice all their skills and techniques. PNG Boxing President John Avira is adamant the team is ready. All they need now is more training to keep them fit and one more international fight to have them primed for the Games. EMTV's Godwin Eki has more on this report.
Our boxers have made good use of the Go for Gold program by attending overseas training camps and getting into ring with international fighters. Since arriving back from Brisbane last week, the team went on break and are now back to training. According to President John Avira, they have not only travelled overseas, but they have gained much-needed skills from their international coach Alan Nicholson Jr. They said the success of his work showed in them winning 7 out of 8 fights, and they have thanked him for his support and training regime.
We're happy that we managed to complete the training, and we learned a lot of new stuff from our coach Alan Nicholson. So, you know what we've learned, we've come back here to have a couple of days of break, and then we'll continue our training again and head up to Tabubil again for a couple more weeks when our coach comes to join us here.
The athletes said although they have been shown the different types of skills and techniques, they still need more training and more international boxing competition to gain more confidence in themselves prior to the Pacific Games.
We got targets, and our team is doing well. As I said, although we have a lot of work to do, we've got a very good team around the team, management team, coaching team, and we also got reserves on board as well. So that's not the final team, and the team also knows that they're also being pushed by the guys on reserve.
The team leaves on the 16th and 17th of this month for their 3-week training camp in Tabubil, accompanied by Alan Nicholson Jr. himself, who arrives from Brisbane before departing for Tabubil, where the athletes will work on their weights, fitness level, boxing school training and basic sparring techniques. Straight after the training camp in Tabubil, the team will head back to Port Moresby for a few days break to prepare for their next trip, which is to Manila in the Philippines to attend their next international boxing competition. Godwin Eki, National, EMTV Sports.
Round 11 of the Telecom National Soccer League will see the Lae City Dwellers against RFC in Lae. The Dwellers, coming off a bye over the weekend, will be looking to take advantage of an Oro side coming off a loss to Admiralty last weekend. FC Port Moresby will meet Admiralty as Madang play host to a Bester side who managed to take down Hikari over the weekend.
With Hikari off to Fiji for the OFC Champions League, Round 11 provides an incredible opportunity for all other franchises to elevate their own standings. FC Port Moresby, who had a disappointing 4-2 loss to Madang a week ago, will be looking to shore up resources against an Admiralty side yet to register a convincing win. The Lae City Dwellers, who have been potent with both Nigel Dabinyaba and Raymond Gunemba in form, will be seeking another win with Oro FC in their sights. Oro, for their part, have been struggling, having had 4 losses, a win and a lackluster draw to date, and will not find it easy against a Lae side with a large support base, especially considering they will be playing at the SIK. Both Bester FC and Madang will also be looking at wins. Madang, having only 1 win at home, will certainly be lifted by the home support they have, as Bester, right on the high, knowing one of the scalps they've claimed is none other than 9-time champion Hikari. Jeremy Moggy, National, EMTV Sports.
Motor Vehicle Insurance Limited has thrown its support behind AFL PNG for the next 3 years. The company will sponsor the rollout of AFL PNG's development plans for the future of the code in Papua New Guinea. MTV's Elijah Levet has more.
AFL PNG's New Kick program has been a success in the country, teaching young school children the basics of the sport that they have come to love and play. The program has inspired young members to be a part of the sport and to one day represent the country playing for the Mosquitoes. AFL is one of the most successful sports in the country. The Mosquitoes had a very successful 12 months in 2014, taking out the International Cup, and were recently awarded Sports Team of the Year at the SP Sports Awards. AFL PNG CEO Andrew Ketzo said they would like to carry on this success into the future. During the presentation yesterday, AFL PNG expressed their appreciation of support by presenting a team photo of the 2014 International Cup winners to MVIL directors. MVIL came on board to support AFL PNG with a cheque presentation of 300,000 kina, which will mostly go towards the development of youth in the sport. Elijah Lavette, National EMTV Sports.
True Guise Sports continues after the break. Lorraine Genia takes a look inside the refurbished Sir John Guise Stadium. That's coming up next.
True Guise Sports.
Good to have you back with True Guise Sports. The 2015 Pacific Games is developing women in the construction industry, enabling them to contribute to the building of venues for the biggest sporting event that the country has ever hosted. EMTV's Lorraine Genia was given an exclusive tour of the Sir John Guise Indoor Stadium and spoke to some of the women on site.
The 2015 Pacific Games has provided an opportunity for women in construction to develop their trades through the engaging of their services on construction sites throughout Port Moresby. Women working as electricians, plumbers, technicians, crane operators, builders and in other occupations are working tirelessly alongside their male counterparts in completing construction work on 4 of the venues. Janet Yandawai, May Segera, Emmanuel Amati, all electricians, and Georgina Sarinu, a fire system technician, work on site at the Sir John Guise Indoor Stadium.
And contributing to the 2015 Games, well, it's time's beating us, so we're rushing in doing the electrical work here in this construction area.
One time, man, look, seems the game, it's very difficult. It's very hard. Can't you even marry lo come inside lo walk if the walk it's very hard. Lo time do me lo come inside lo very hard. But lo me probably give him hand one time lo finish him the game is me probably put him as priority.
For the young women, working on the venue is challenging, but with the support of male colleagues and mentors in persons like Cheryl Parker, they continue to break barriers in the male-dominated construction industry.
You have a small team of women standing right behind us, not just here at the Sir John Guise Stadium, but throughout the other venues. What do you tell them to keep them on track, to keep them focused? Because, you know, being in the construction industry, it's all male dominated.
Yeah, it is quite difficult sometimes being one of the only women in the industry. But I think if you have experience and you know what you're doing, it just makes it a lot easier.
Less than 100 days away from the 2015 Pacific Games, these women are feeling the pinch of pressure. However, they are determined to deliver the games on time. Lorraine Genia, National EMTV Sports.
With the 2015 Port Moresby Pacific Games just 85 days away, tickets are selling fast and the Games Organising Committee is pleased with the public's response to get their tickets early. In addition to the 17 selected outlets that are currently selling tickets, the GOC will be announcing additional outlets where people can buy them as well.
8,000 tickets have been sold since the 2015 Pacific Games tickets were launched just 11 days ago.
We've got some just fantastic packages. You can go and buy a package to all the sports, or you can buy a package to a particular venue. The average price of tickets, if you buy them for a package arrangement, is less than 10 kina a ticket. So fantastic value for everybody. Available, as I say, at selected branches of BSP Bank throughout Papua New Guinea.
The Games Organising Committee wants to encourage the public to purchase tickets now so they will not be disappointed at the last minute when they are sold out. Games Organising Committee CEO Peter Stewart said the number of tickets sold so far within a short period of time is testimony that the people of PNG are excited about the Pacific Games and want to be a part of it. Tickets selling fastest are the swimming packages and the opening ceremony. The Games Organising Committee is pleased with the public's response to purchase their tickets early. Dion Kombang, National EMTV Sports.
And that ends our True Guise Sports segment tonight. The weather details coming up after these short messages. Stay tuned.
True Guise Sports. True Kai Sports.
A quick look at the weather forecast for tonight and tomorrow in southern region, Port Moresby, Karaman, Popondetta, to look forward to cloudy weather at times with light showers. In Mamasa, light showers expected in Lake City, showers in Madang. For the New Guinea Islands, thundery showers expected in Buka, Kavieng, Kokopo and Kimbe. And lastly, in the Highlands region, all centres, thundery showers, then morning fog. Recapping our main stories before we go, Opposition leader Don Pollier warns the government again on budget priorities. Also, land earmarked to build new cancer facility at Anga Hospital in Lae given away, and the All Search Baton Relay team arrives in Madang. Well, that's been National EMTV News tonight. On behalf of the entire news crew, I'm Tokana Asavi. You take care and have a safe weekend. Good night.